In this market update, I'm going to talk about some things that are going good in the economy and some things that we're watching out for. Hi, Jim Gore from THOR Wealth Management. Today I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly and what's happening in the economy. First, some good news. This is looking at the equity value in real estate for individuals. And you can see here that the equity that we have in real estate has gone up 400% in the last decade. Part of it has been prices increasing in real estate, as we all have seen. But another part of it is that paying down debt. And individuals have a lot more in equity in their homes right now. And we hear this from our clients when they're going to buy houses in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Florida. Usually it's a competitive bid, and everyone has cash that they're paying for the house. No one's taking out loans. And that's because the baby boomers, the big group of our population, have paid off their homes, and now they have a lot of equity in their homes. Second thing that's good news is carbon emissions. Okay, if you look at this chart here, for the last 30 plus years, the United States have reduced our carbon emissions. Part of it has been regulatory changes, obviously air conditioning, automobiles, and so forth. But a big part of that has been switching over from coal-fired power plants to natural gas. A lot less emissions from those natural gas power plants. So when fracking came about in 2009, 2010, a lot of the utilities companies went from coal-fired power plants to natural gas-fired power plants, and we have really done our job. We're back to 1985 levels in CO2 emissions. Now, the bad news is it's being offset by China building, one or two coal-fired power plants a week, and India as well. We need them to reduce their coal-fired usage, but we are doing our job. That's good news. The United States is leading, and we are one of the only few countries that have actually reduced our carbon emissions over the last 30 years. Now let's look at some good and some bad. First of all, the bad, and we all know this is looking at debt levels in different areas. And the federal government, as we all know, have increased the debt levels, the deficit, pretty significantly here in the last decade. Part of it has been COVID, but it's been also increased spending on top of that. We are not reducing our spending whatsoever here in the United States. The other one is corporations. And I think this should be a concern for anyone that's investing, because corporations in the last decade have been borrowing money at very cheap rates and buying back their shares. So now all of a sudden those bonds are going to come due. They're going to have to refinance those bonds at a higher rate, which is going to hurt corporate profits, or maybe they issue more shares. But corporations are not in good financial shape. So you have the federal government and corporations are not in good shape. Individuals are in good shape with their equity in their homes, but also in good shape, and this is good news, is that you look at state and localities, the amount of debt that they've been issuing, it remains constant for the last decade. So that's good. State and local governments are managing their budgets effectively, because if they don't, they have to borrow on the market and they pay higher interest rates. They have a balanced budget, and this is really good sign for state and localities in general. And then the rest of the world, I just threw that in there. Those debt levels have gone up, but compared to the amount of debt and liabilities we have for corporations and federal government, it's very, very small. So I mentioned that state and local governments are doing well, and there's a good story and there's a bad story in that. First of all, you look at a good story, and this is looking at population growth in Texas. Texas has a balanced budget and actually a surplus. And they don't charge any state income tax. They do have a sales tax, but what's interesting, their sales tax is the same as other states like California. It's very similar. If you look at when you add the localities, it's 7.25%. Same thing for California when you include the localities. So people do pay more in taxes maybe for their cars, but there is no income tax. But the population growth is really helping Texas have a balanced budget and having a surplus. Now that's a good story if you're living in Texas. Now here's the bad story, or the really ugly story, if you will. California right now is going through a budget, and this is going to be a second year with significant budget deficits, anywhere from, they're looking at 38 billion to 73 billion, depending on the accounting for this year. So they're going to have to make some significant changes in California. Well, what has happened in California? California is one of, if not the highest tax states. If you look at this income tax rate, you reach 9.3%. Anything above $68,000 on a single individual in income is taxed at 9.3% up to 12.3%. But so you're hitting a pretty high level with only $68,000 in income. If you're married, it's $136,000. Sounds like it's a lot of income, but I tell you, if you live in California, that's a very low income. If you're making $136,000 in Minster, Ohio, that's a huge salary. But you're making $136,000 in San Francisco or LA, you're barely getting by. That's a very low salary out there. So the high income tax bracket, you're seeing a lot of population leaving. They've actually had a drop in population in California. So Californians, we all heard the story, are leaving. The tax base is leaving. It's causing a deficit, and this is a really ugly situation for California because they continue to raise taxes. What happens is companies like Tesla, individuals like Elon Musk will move out of California and go to other states, and they're doing that. So all in all, things aren't as bad as everyone is portraying out there. Individuals are in really good shape. State and localities, for the most part, are really in good shape. The federal government and corporations do have high levels of debt that could weigh in those sectors, especially the federal government with all the money that they're borrowing, and corporations, because they're going to have to refinance that debt levels at a higher rate, which is going to impact earnings. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, reach out to us at THORwealthmanagement.com or give us a call. Take care and talk to you in a couple weeks.